Now on Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com. Early this morning, Russia strikes Ukraine. The details just ahead. And the suspect in the United Healthcare CEO killing extradited to New York Thursday, why the mayor stood close by to his arrival, coming up. Plus, one local organization continues their fundraising campaign, and there's still time to volunteer. We'll tell you how you can help.
And if you'd like the cooler, nice weather that we've had the last few days, we got another front coming tonight, keeping us that way for the weekend before we warm up next week. And also next week on Christmas Eve, it looks like we may have some strong thunderstorms. We're going to take a look at all that and the weather coming up.
And the Ganado Indians won their first state title versus the Stanford Bulldogs yesterday. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, good morning, Crossroads, and happy Friday. We're just one more day until the first day of winter and 5 days away until Christmas.
But it's not really feeling like winter.
No, not really.
And we have some dangerous fog happening right now, too.
This morning, we are dealing with, yet again, some more dangerous fog. In fact, if you're tuning in with us right now, you're looking at the Victoria live camera where we've got some fog. This camera is actually located near Lone Tree Road and Houston Highway on the eastern outskirts of Victoria, which is where you're going to see more of the dense fog, where there's more grass and vegetation allowing for water transpiration. You're not going to see too much dense fog in the city where there's more concrete, keeping the dew point further away from the temperature. But otherwise, just be careful on the roads. In the background, it's a little bit cool as well. I might maybe recommend a jacket. 53 in Victoria right now, dew point 1 degree away, which is bringing us the humidity, 96%, and the fog. This computer right here says 0 mile visibility. Looking at that camera, I'm going to say a few hundred feet. So like I said, just please be careful on the roads. You can see all the fog really concentrated in our eastern counties this morning. That's why we have dense fog advisories for all of y'all until 9 a.m. when that starts clearing between 8:30 to 9:30 this morning. And that's going to clear to some sunny skies. But this morning is going to be the last morning. We're going to have the fog. Why? Because we got a front coming through tonight. That's going to clear us out with some drier dew points. So if you're seeing your kiddos out the door this morning, maybe pack up the jacket for the morning and be careful on the roads. But in the afternoon, they're going to take that off because it's going to be a lovely day. We'll look at all the details of that coming up next.
Russia launched a deadly missile attack on Kyiv this morning, sparking fires across the Ukrainian capital. The bombardments leave Ukraine in a precarious position as the war grinds into a third winter. At least one person was killed and 9 others injured in the attack. The latest assault comes a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin boasted about the capability of the Oreshnik, a new nuclear-capable ballistic missile that Russia recently fired at a Ukrainian city. Suspected murderer Luigi Mangione is in New York to face charges in the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Mangione arrived via helicopter on Thursday after waiving his extradition from Pennsylvania earlier in the day. Mangione faces 11 counts in connection to the December 4th shooting of Thompson, including murder and terrorism charges. New York Mayor Eric Adams was near the helipad where Mangione arrived, where he admonished people who have shown support for the alleged killer. Now to one family's fight with immigration officials. The family has been separated, the mother and children sent back to Mexico while the father remains in the U.S. All, they say, because of a misunderstanding.
This morning, a Texas family is fighting to get back together after a woman and her 4 children were deported to Mexico. She says she missed her immigration hearing because she was pregnant and needed an emergency C-section. Cristina Salazar says she's sad and desperate. The mother of 4 is married to a U.S. citizen but came to the U.S. undocumented.
On October 9, Cristina didn't show up to her immigration hearing, and the judge didn't know that Cristina didn't show up because circumstances beyond her control, and she was ordered removed in absentia.
Salazar had given birth to twins in Houston earlier than expected. Later, her lawyer says she tried to prove her case to immigration officials.
When she shows up with the birth certificates and her 2 baby twins who are newborn and the 2-year-old and the 7-year-old, they get detained.
They were immediately deported to a border town where she knew no one. Her lawyer saying Salazar had no clothes, no money. We reached out to immigration officials about this case but have not heard back. Salazar has since been reunited with her family in Mexico while her lawyer plans next steps.
This case is a prime example of when, people with limited resources and limited access to the legal system are the ones that suffer the most.
Salazar is planning to apply for humanitarian parole in hopes of being reunited with her husband. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
The Teamsters Union has launched what they say is the largest strike against Amazon in history. Workers are on the picket lines at some Amazon facilities in New York, Illinois, Georgia, and California. The strike comes just 1 week before Christmas amid the rush of last-minute holiday gift deliveries. The Teamsters said in a press release the work stoppage comes after Amazon ignored a December 15th deadline set by the union to come to the bargaining table. Amazon is refuting the claim, saying the Teamsters intentionally misled the public. The Teamsters said nearly 10,000 Amazon workers have joined the union. The oyster harvest season in Texas is on, but it's a limited one due to a sharp decline in wild oyster populations. Many harvest areas, including Lavaca Bay, are closed as officials work to protect depleted reefs and rebuild oyster populations. The state's focusing on oyster farming to provide sustainable seafood with new rules, making it easier for farms to thrive. Meanwhile, $8.2 million in federal funding is set to restore reefs in the Mission Aransas estuary, a collaborative project aimed at rebuilding healthy oyster ecosystems, supporting both the environment and local communities. There's only a few days left until the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign hangs up its bells for the year, and they're behind on their fundraising goal. The campaign is the nonprofit's primary fundraiser of the year, and their goal is $70,000. They'll continue to ring those bells outside stores through Christmas Eve, and they still need bell ringers. This year's campaign goes on through Christmas Eve. To learn more, call 361-576-1297. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and we want to see how you're slaying it. Share your holiday magic with us by sending in your best festive photos. We'll feature them on our social media accounts every day until Christmas week. Head to crossroadstoday.com and start sending us your selfies with Santa. All right, remember to follow us on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. The time now, looking at our clock up here, it is 6:37 on our Friday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. We take a look at the new superintendent's first official board meeting as the district's new leader.
Congress has just until midnight tonight to pass a spending deal and avoid a government shutdown. I'm Christiane Cordero with the latest from Washington.
And also coming up next after the break in the full forecast today, it's going to be a lovely, beautiful day all across beautiful Texas. I'll tell you how nice I think it's going to be near you. But coming up later on Sunrise, we still look like we've got a shot for some strong to severe thunderstorms on Christmas Eve. So we'll take a look at your Christmas forecast. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're tuning in with us this morning, you're looking live in foggy Cuero. That's right. Over the last half hour, fog has moved over onto Cuero right now. We're dealing with some dangerous fog out there. Excuse me. So please be careful if you're out on the roads this morning. Otherwise, it's 44. Like I was saying earlier, I might maybe recommend a jacket with how a little bit chilly it is out there right now. 44 in Cuero. Dew point 1 degree off, though, bringing that humidity to that high 95%, which is why we're seeing that fog over there in Cuero right now, because that dew point has rose a couple degrees. So just be careful if you're in Cuero and also in all of our eastern counties this morning where we have the dense fog advisories. But that fog that you see out there, if you see it, it's going to clear between 8:30 to 9:30, like I said, all the way down to some sunny skies. And it's going to be sunny all day today, because looking at your satellite over Texas, you can see how clear it is out there. Clear as a glass, crystal clear out there. But actually, if you look really closely, you can actually see right there, right here, this really thin, really weak line of cirrus clouds. That is the front that is coming our way tonight. That front is coming off of this big system that is now on the eastern coast. And then over here on the west coast, we got all those systems that will be bringing all sorts of havoc for your holiday week next week. And we'll also look at that later on Sunrise. But for today, like I said, it's going to be a sunny day. I am pressing play on your Future Clouds and radar. You can see there's not a cloud in the sky today. That beaming sun alongside a light northerly wind, kind of moderate at times, gusting up to 20 at times. Going to bring us a lovely day. I'm thinking about 70 today in Victoria, same in Port Lavaca, thinking 69 in Cuero before lows tonight under the mostly clear skies, dropping into the mid and upper 30s. But if you like that weather, it's going to stick with us this weekend before we warm up next week, and we're going to look at that Christmas forecast coming up next.
What a performance there yesterday from the Ganado Indians as they won the 2A Division I state championship versus the Stanford Bulldogs. They're winning 30-28 in triple overtimes here. And again, afterwards, they celebrate hosting up the championship trophy there with head coach Josh Irvin there, getting up the trophy, and it's the first time in school history for the Ganado Indians winning, again, the 2A Division I state championship. And again, after the game, they also got, again, some awards for offensive MVP there to quarterback Bryce Ullman, and then the defensive MVP went to Kane Hayden, who also in the game got 2 touchdown receptions from the quarterback there, Bryce Ullman there yesterday. And again, for Ganado, props up to them this entire season. Again, coming into this year, we knew Ganado was going to be one of those top teams with a young coach there as well there, and Josh Irvin. And this team came out and they proved everybody wrong from the get-go. And one of our sports reporters, give credit here to Zach Brown, we talked about in the CFL preview show earlier, did predict Ganado to win it all this year, and he was right. They got the job done, winning in a thriller. Again, the play was made there by Bryce Ullman, who got offensive MVP, like I mentioned, getting the big-time interception on a 2-point conversion play, and that's how they would win the game there for Ganado there over the Stanford Bulldogs, winning their first title there in school history. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
All right, we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. We now turn to Washington, where Congress has less than 24 hours to pass a spending deal, or millions of federal workers could go without pay this holiday season.
Some 3.5 million federal workers and active duty military members are at risk of losing their paychecks this holiday season if Congress doesn't pass a new spending bill by midnight tonight. Billionaire and Trump ally Elon Musk tanked the original bipartisan bill. Then last night, a new Republican plan backed by President Trump also failed.
The Musk-Johnson proposal is not serious. It's laughable. Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
The latest proposal would have suspended the debt ceiling for 2 years, giving Trump more financial leeway to fund his agenda. But 38 Republicans joined the majority of Democrats in voting no.
I am absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Among the millions of federal workers caught in limbo, the Bittners of Austin, Texas.
I have a mortgage payment still due January 1st. They don't care.
Jennifer's husband, Army Lieutenant Colonel Randall Bittner, could be required to work without pay in a government shutdown, as would many other military families, air traffic controllers, and TSA agents.
I can't put into words how difficult it is to think that our livelihoods can just be thought of as a pawn.
Also in limbo, billions of dollars in hurricane relief and aid for farmers, which was included in both spending bills that were voted down. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
The Victoria ISD Board held its first meeting with its new superintendent Thursday night. The board voted to provide Superintendent Sheila Collazo with access to the district's Prosperity Bank accounts as the authorized account signer and administrator. They also reviewed adding a Hebrew course to the course catalog, but decided to delay until the district secures a qualified instructor for the course. Additionally, Level 3 parent grievances were reviewed.
First 3 weeks have been exhilarating. Very warm welcome from the staff, the community, the board, and even students as we've worked side by side. Victoria already feels like home. The first 3 weeks began with day-to-day operations. Coming in December means that the district is already in motion and the work is already happening. And so
Immediate priority will be preparing for the upcoming semester, where she plans to implement key initiatives aimed at enhancing the learning experience. Collazo shared that her goal is to work closely with educators, parents, and the community to continue improving the district's educational programs. The northern giant hornet, known as the murder hornet, are eradicated in the United States. First spotted in the U.S. in 2019 in Washington state, the hornets are most dangerous for honeybees. They have stingers that are 6 millimeters long and can spit venom. Officials have used traps since then to see if the invasive species had spread, but none have been detected in 3 years. The U.S. and Washington state ag departments released a joint statement Wednesday announcing the murder hornet are no longer present in the U.S., but will continue to monitor traps. The time is now 6:46 on our Friday morning. Still to come on Sunrise, a major piece in the nation's economic puzzle comes out this morning.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. Believe it or not, tomorrow is the first day of winter, the winter solstice that is, and that actually leads us to today's weather poll. Today's weather poll asks, what is the average temperature in Victoria during the winter solstice? It looks like, it's split down the middle for 70 and 66 degrees. Both votes are at 44% for the vote. 62 degrees, none of y'all are voting for that one, but 12% of y'all are voting for 58. And the correct answer is 66 degrees for December 21st every year. That's our average temperature. It's actually 66.4 to be exact. But thank y'all so much for taking part in today's weather poll. And if you're wondering if we're going to be average for the winter solstice, you would actually be right. We're going to be right on the money for average. Tomorrow I've got 65 for the high for your winter solstice high temperature in Victoria. So looking pretty much on average, but that's going to change next week because we're going to warm up. Why? Because we've got a few systems out there in the Pacific. The third one that we were talking about yesterday has already moved onshore. It's actually moving across the mountains right now as we speak. All three of those systems that are out there right now will be moving across the continental United States over the next 7, 8, 9, 10 days, and they will be bringing us those weather pattern changes. You're going to see that a little bit better here, right here on the future tracker. Starting out with the low that is right now all the way over there on the eastern coast, just off the East Coast. That's going to be responsible for sending us the front tonight. Much weaker front, only keeping us in the nice upper 60s average for winter solstice time for this weekend. But then as we go into Sunday and Monday of next week, early next week, the first low will come off the northern part of the Rockies. That's going to be bringing us the southerly winds back as early as Sunday, warming us up back to the 70s. But then here comes the second low. But here's the thing. The problem with this second low is that this is going to be digging real far south into the southern Rockies. And with that being said, that's going to set up and allow for a strong wind shear environment favorable for strong to severe thunderstorms on Christmas Eve night. This is 1 a.m. Wednesday, Christmas morning. 4 a.m. But after that front passes through, we're looking at a very nice Christmas, if you ask me. Mid and low 70s for highs, and rain chances back down to 0%. We're going to look at all that later on Sunrise.
A major piece in the nation's economic puzzle comes out this morning. The Commerce Department is releasing its personal consumption expenditures price index. It could foreshadow potential future rate cuts. Economically speaking, the U.S. appears to be ending 2024 on a relatively strong note. The GDP rose at a yearly rate of 3.1% during the third quarter. That's up from the previous estimate of 2.8%. Analysts say the Federal Reserve's rate cuts in September played a factor. And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. We want to know, have you felt the effects of the recent interest rate cuts? Okay, let's take a look. 17% of you say yes, and 83% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. In the last year, the population of the United States grew at the fastest rate in more than 20 years. The Census Bureau shows the U.S. population increased almost 1% this year, or by 3.3 million people, surpassing 340 million people. The South saw the most population growth of all regions by far, increasing by 1.8 million people, and the West gained around 688,000 people, and the Northeast increased its population by about 435,000 people. The Midwest was the slowest growing region overall, gaining about 410,000 people. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection released its monthly update. Just how are the numbers trending? We learn more after the break. Breaking this morning, Tesla is recalling almost 700,000 vehicles because of an issue with the warning light on the tire pressure monitoring system. In a letter, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration wrote, the recall includes certain 2024 Cybertrucks and 2017 to 2025 Model 3 and 2020 to 2025 Model Y vehicles. The issue is that the tire pressure monitoring system warning light on the vehicles may not remain illuminated between drive cycles, failing to warn the driver of low tire pressure, increasing the risk of a crash. The Elon Musk-led automaker says it's providing a free software update to fix the problem. A journalists association says 2 reporters working for Kurdish media outlets have been killed in clashes between Syrian Kurdish militia and Turkish-backed fighters in northern Syria. Fighting in parts of Syria continues despite the fall of President Bashar Assad. It's been less than 2 weeks since Assad was ousted by a lightning rebel advance on the capital, Damascus. The country is home to diverse sects, and there is ongoing fear and uncertainty among minority groups, including Christians, regarding their rights and safety under the main rebel group. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection released its November 2024 monthly update on Thursday. The report says November marked the lowest number of border crossings of any month during the Biden administration. Encounters with undocumented migrants across the northern and southern borders dropped to 124,238, which is down from 142,988 in October. Border Patrol apprehensions of migrants crossing illegally at the southern border was also down to 46,612 compared to 191,106 in November of last year. A Missouri man who pled guilty to entering the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, will be allowed to travel to Washington, D.C. to attend the presidential inauguration next month. Eric Peterson is slated to be sentenced on January 27th, a week after President-elect Donald Trump takes the oath of office. In a filing earlier this week, Peterson's attorney highlighted the short length of time he was in the Capitol, about 8 minutes, citing that his client was not alleged to have done anything, related to assault or vandalism. Governor Greg Abbott on Thursday announced a new campaign of installing billboards in Central America and Mexico with messages about sexual assault and Texas's border enforcement efforts, an effort to deter migrants from trying to enter the country illegally. You can read this story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite you to experience our new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus on your connected television. And now let's get a final look at our foggy forecast, or our foggy conditions right now with Parker.
That's right. That fog has started forming over the waters and over the coast this morning. You're looking live in Port Lavaca, where, yeah, you can see that fog is starting to get a little bit dense down there. So just making sure y'all know that the fog is out there before y'all head out the door this morning. It's 57 in Port Lavaca. I might also maybe recommend a jacket, just a tad bit cool down at the coast because you're next to that warm water. 100% humidity thanks to the dew point matching that temperature, which is bringing us the fog. But it's not only on the coast this morning, it's all over the crossroads except for our northwestern counties. So you can see, just please be careful on the roads. Maintain a safe driving distance between the car in front of you. Use your low beam headlights, not the brights, because they cause more glare. And also make sure to use your windshield wipers if your windshield dew's up. But fog advisories are in effect for most of us until 9 a.m. because the fog will clear between 8:30 to 9:30. And we're left with some sunny skies, leaving us with a beautiful day all across Texas. In fact, I'm thinking about 70 for the high today in Port Lavaca under those sunny skies. About the same thing in Victoria. You can see the fog in the background there as well. And I'm thinking a little bit cooler, 69 for the high today in Cuero. But if you like that weather, that's going to stick with us all weekend long before we warm up next week back into the mid and upper 70s. And we're still looking at possibly some strong thunderstorms for Christmas Eve night.
All right. Thank you, Parker. Hopefully Santa can find his way.
Hopefully he can find a way, right?
All right. Well, thank y'all for being with us this morning. Join Shauna, Dama, Clovio, and Max tonight for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10.